I'm assuming they offer 3 different things.
Let's go back to the first page here, Mr. Glenn. Now remember, one of the chief benefits was that if you live and you ultimately pay off your mortgage yourself, Hartford's going to do what with all that cash that you put into this policy over 30 years?
Give it back to me.
Give it back to you. Great. Now, Glenn, that's option one, where Hartford gives you back every dollar that you spend on this policy. Let's say this thing cost you $30,000 over 30 years, and then Hartford gives you back $30,000. What's the net cost to you?
0.
0. Pretty neat, huh? Option 2 is 50% of your cash back, and option 3 is 0, or very little bit of your cash back. Now, Glenn, that's an important concept. I want to make sure you understand that. So let's go back to this page. Option 1 says if you die, your beneficiary gets all the protection, all the death benefit. And if you live, option 1 says you get all the cash back. Option 2 says if you die, your beneficiary still gets all the death benefit. But if you live, option 2 says you only get half the cash back. And option 3, Glenn, says if you kick the bucket, your beneficiary is still going to get all the death protection. But option 3 says if you live, you get how much cash?
None.
0. Now, why do we do that? Well, people get all fired up, Glenn, about that 100% cash value back. Like having free insurance for 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they see the monthly amount and they go, whew, Jamie, not in my budget, son. No. Now, 50% of the cash, maybe I could do that, Jamie. Maybe I could, but not today. But 0 or very little bit, yes, I can do that. And here's a key point, Glenn, that I want to make sure you understand as well as all my clients. I go, look, depending on your budget, at least start with option 3. Why? That's the insurance part, okay? That'll qualify you and get you into the program. And once you're into the program with a permanent program like this, nobody can ever take that away from you. Hartford can't cancel it on you because you developed cancer or a heart condition. The government can't take it away. Your doctor can't take it away. Once you're in, you're in. And Glenn, here's the best part. With the flexibility of this program, you can always move up to option 2 or option 1 later on as your budget improves. Any questions on that?
Not yet.
Okay, let's look at your numbers here, okay? Okay, Grant, your numbers look like this. Option 1, 100% cash back. That's right at $300 a month. That provides $300,000 protection. That means 150 of that 300 is going in to buy the coverage, right? Mm-hmm. And 50% or 150 of it is going into your cash value. Remember that question you asked earlier? How much is going into cash value? How much is going into protection? Mm-hmm. Again, Hartford is roughly 50-50, right? One of the few companies that do 50-50, remember? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, option 2, 50% of your cash back is right at $250 a month. The same 150 is going to buy the coverage because that don't change. But now $100 is going into your cash value, somewhat less, right? Right. And then option 3 is 0 or very little cash back. That's $180 a month. Still 150 going to buy the coverage because that doesn't change. But now even less is going into your cash value of just $30. And all of these programs provide all these benefits, and each one provides $300,000 coverage on you. So Glenn, which one of those are you leaning towards qualifying for?
Well, right now, since you said that I could change later, I think I'd be leaning towards the option 2.
Okay, that's a great program. Now, are you sure?
I believe I am.
Okay, and that's not going to take, that $250 is not going to take any money off the table, is it?
No.
Not going to take any food out of your mouth, is it?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, good. Now, Glenn, great program, but I can't give it to you tonight. Now, you got to qualify for this just like you had to qualify for your mortgage, right? Here's the process. I take the first month's deposit and the medical information. We can simply start the process tonight. It's going to take Hartford 3 to 5 weeks minimum to qualify you. Is 3 to 5 weeks long enough for you to think about something like this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. Because while you're thinking about Hartford, Hartford's got to be doing some thinking about you. They're going to have to check your attending physician statement, your doctor's records. They're going to check your motor vehicle record, make sure you're a safe driver, not a bunch of tickets or DUIs. They're even going to pay for a paramedical exam, which they'll pay for. They'll come to you, your house, or your business, check things like your height, your weight, your blood pressure, maybe even give you a rescue EKG and get a blood and urine sample, okay? And then they most certainly will check what's called the Medical Information Bureau, or MIB. That's a national clearinghouse of all medical records. Anytime you've even had a conversation, Glenn, with a doctor on the phone, they document it in your file, it goes to MIB. Now, during this 3 to 5 weeks, Glenn, one of 3 things happens. A few people will lose their job or simply change their mind. Don't even have to have a reason. If you change your mind, Hartford refunds that deposit to you, no questions asked. Some people don't qualify. Now, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you don't qualify for whatever medical reason, Hartford refunds that deposit to you. So Glenn, if you change your mind or don't qualify during this qualification period, what happens to that deposit?
You get it back.
You get it back. But most people do qualify. The policy will be issued. I'll come and hand deliver it to you, explaining all these features and benefits and show you right in your policy where they all are. Obviously, if I can do that at that point in time, there shouldn't be a problem, should it?
No.
And the bank draft will start 30 days after I deliver the policy. Okay? Any questions?
No.
Great. Go get your driver's license. Let's see if you can qualify.
Okay.
Now, that's the end of the presentation. Glenn came right down the pike. Normally, if you give a good, dynamic, enthusiastic presentation involving the prospects in the presentation, asking questions, waiting for feedback, listening to what they have to say, you'll get a lot of laydowns, which was what happened here. Glenn just laid down, didn't have any objections whatsoever, right? So then you've got to give them direction. When he said no problems, no questions, go get your license, let's see if you can qualify. Go get your license, let's see if you can qualify. Go get your license, let's see if you can qualify. Okay? Now, if Glenn had had some objections, let's go through the number 1 objection, the think about it objection. Let's go back to the question, the closing question, which we all ask, and that's after you've explained the process, you push the paper over to them and you ask the closing question. Which one of these are you leaning towards qualifying for? Now, Glenn didn't say, I'd like to think about it. Looks great, but I'd like to think about it. Now, Glenn, which one of these are you leaning towards qualifying for?
Well, actually, Jamie, we don't make decisions that quick. We actually take time to think about it. So I think I might have to give it some time to think about it.
Well, I think you should do that. I mean, this is obviously a very important financial or money decision, right? So you should give it some time to think about, right? Now, let me ask you a question. How long would you need to think about something like this?
Well, probably at least 30 days.
30 days? Okay. Now, that's good, okay? Because again, while you're thinking about Hartford and thinking about this kind of program, Hartford's going to be thinking about you, all right? So it's going to take a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks for Hartford to qualify you. Now, 4 to 6 weeks then is obviously long enough in your time frame to think about something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So the only thing we can do tonight, Glenn, is start the process, all right? Because I can't give you the coverage tonight. But we can take the first month's deposit and just the medical information on you. That's all. Now, in this 4 to 6 weeks, one of 3 things is going to happen here, Glenn. Some people will change their mind. After you think about it, you may indeed change your mind. If that happens, Hartford refunds the deposit to you. No questions asked. The second thing is you may not qualify. I mean, you look like you're in pretty good health, but guess what? Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't qualify for any medical reason, guess what Hartford does with that deposit?
Give it back.
Give it back. Exactly right. So Glenn, if you change your mind or don't qualify, what does Hartford do with that deposit?
Give it back.
Give it back to you. But most folks do qualify, and the policy will be approved and issued. I'll come and hand deliver it to you, explain all these features and benefits. Even then, Glenn, if you don't like what's in that policy, you don't like the way the I's are dotted or the T's are crossed, you look at that thing and don't like it, if you don't like it then, Hartford will still refund the money to you, okay? So Glenn, the only thing we can do is start the process, and you are still in control. If you change your mind or if you don't qualify, what does Hartford do with that deposit?
They give it back.
They give it back. So Glenn, let's go ahead and see if you can qualify. So go get your license and let's see if you can qualify.
Well, Jamie, I don't know if I want to go through the qualification process with money out of my pocket. I might want to wait before I make any out-of-pocket money.
I have a lot of my clients that tell me the same thing, Glenn. But may I share with you what they found out?
Sure.
Okay. So they feel the same way with you and made the same kind of comments, but what they found out, Glenn, is that because they submit the deposit and I get the medical information, I can give you a very valuable piece of paper that's called a conditional receipt. Now, Glenn, as long as you are honest on the medical questions and submit the deposit, the conditional receipt says that Hartford's on the hook for $300,000. So during this qualification period, and I know we all think we're indestructible, right? But during this qualification period of 3, 4, 5, or even 6 weeks or more, if something should happen to you, again, we all think we're indestructible, but in this Atlanta traffic, anything can happen, can't it? If you should kick the bucket or die, Hartford pays your beneficiary $300,000 just because of that one single piece of paper called a conditional receipt. Wouldn't that be valuable to have? And Glenn, just because you got the deposit submitted and the conditional receipt, can you still change your mind if you want to?
Well, you said I could.
You sure can, Glenn. So you're still in control. So, but even being in control, even with the full realization, understanding that you can change your mind, you got a piece of paper in your back pocket that provides what?
A conditional receipt.
For how much coverage?
$300,000.
So Glenn, let's go ahead and start the process. Go get your license. Let's see if you can qualify. I'll give you the conditional receipt. When I walk out that door, as soon as you get the paramedic exam, you'll have $300,000 of conditional coverage. And we can schedule that thing next couple of days. So go get your license. Let's see if you can qualify.
Okay.
Great. Now, Glenn came back 2 times with me. If he comes back a 3rd time and says, tell me you want to think about it again.
Well, you know, we've talked about the different concerns I have about waiting and not doing it tonight, and we've just made a commitment that we're not going to make any rush decisions, so I really want to stick to my first comment and say I want to wait. So we want to think about it. Can you leave me your card and let me get back to
Well,
it?
that's no problem at all. I can certainly do that, but you know, again, I just want to make sure I'm doing a good, thorough job of communicating here now. So let me make sure you understand something here. You know that I cannot give you the coverage tonight. That we only can start the process. By starting the process, we take the deposit and the medical information on you. I give you that valuable conditional receipt. So in a way, you do have conditional coverage as long as you're truthful in the medical questions, right? So you understand that.
I do.
And you still want to think about it.
I do.
Okay. Now, Glenn, let me relate one other story to you. This thing can play out one of 2 ways here, all right? Now, let's suppose we go ahead and take the deposit and the medical information on you, okay? I give you the conditional receipt. Hartford processes it, issues the policy. I come and deliver the policy to you. You like what you see, but 6 months later you find out you could have saved $10 a month or even $20 a month. Now 6 times 20, that's $120 that you overspent during that 6 months, right?
Right.
Now, I know that's nothing to sneeze at. $120 is $120, but in the grand scheme of things, Glenn, is that really a big mistake or a little mistake?
Well, that would be a little mistake.
Yeah, I mean, again, $120, nothing to sneeze at, but it's not $10,000 or $100,000, is it?
No.
So that would be a little mistake. Now, the opposite side of that coin, Glenn,